welcome back. Today we will be talking about this Disney princess film called The Princess and the Frog. Today we have our guest here, Julie.
Hi.
This is actually the first time that I've watched this film. However, this is Julie's favorite Disney princess film. As some of you might have known already, both of us are
die-hard Disney fans.
Yes, especially princess films fans. So to begin with, we're going to give you a really brief, probably not brief, summary of the story.
Okay, so the story starts with the fairy tale, The Frog Prince. It begins with Tiana's mother trying to read a story to her best friend, Charlotte LaBeouf. So we have this protagonist's name, who is Tiana. She is from the working class family. The story is set in early 1900s. And so we actually know the history background at the time in the USA, especially in New Orleans.
Yeah.
I think there are very high social hierarchy over there. So we have this working class family working for Charlotte's family because Tiana, she makes princess gowns for Charlotte LaBeouf. And she, at the time, reads the story to both of them. The story is called The Frog Prince. And this story, however, as a beginning of this whole film, serves a foretelling story. And then it all fast forward into 14 years later when we see all grown Tiana just returning back home from maybe her first or second shifts from her jobs because she works very hard to make ends meet. Also, she wants to achieve her goals, basically wants to make her dream come true by working hard. Well, her dream is to open a restaurant because she has a gift of making delicacy because of her father.
Yes.
And we also see an all-grown Charlotte who is somehow more naive and innocent but still kind and most importantly spoiled by her father.
Yes.
And she was holding a masquerade party at her house. So this was a very important evening where we have Tiana, Charlotte over there, and also we have the most important character of the story, which is the frog. And so the frog came to the balcony of Charlotte's house and Tiana wasn't there because there was an accident and I'm not going to spoil it for you. So the frog demands a kiss.
Yes.
And Tiana, out of pity maybe.
And probably desperation.
Yes, so she gave the frog the kiss. Instead of turning the frog into a human or a prince as he suggested, Tiana was turned into the frog instead.
Yes.
And so the story began. They embark on a journey of trying to turning themselves back into human.
Yes.
Yes, and that's basically the story.
So anyways, the two of them, Tiana and Prince Naveen, both as frogs, the two of them as frogs set out on a journey to find the Bayou Witch, who is called Mama Oldie, to try to turn themselves back into humans.
Yes.
So on their way, as they go through the swamps and everything, they met an alligator whose name is Gator. And has the dream of being part of joining a jazz band and to play the trumpet. And they also met a firefly called Ray, who is also a very sweet character.
Yes.
And since he's a firefly, so he sort of fell in love with this star, which he doesn't really know is a star. And his dream is to be with that star which he named Evangeline.
And also he thinks that she is the love of his life.
Yes. They eventually did find Mama Oldie. However, she says that in order to turn back into human, Prince Naveen has to have a kiss from Charlotte. However, by that time, they have fallen in love with each other already, and with this as an obstacle, and some other obstacles and disruptions from the villain, Dr. Felsifer. There are a little bit ups and downs. However, eventually, as how princess movies end, Prince Naveen and Tiana eventually get married and were turned into human beings and seemingly living happily ever after.
Yes.
So that's basically the story of The Princess and the Frog.
Yes.
Okay, so we basically covered all of the most important characters in the film. For now, what we're going to talk about is our favorite characters. So Julie, after all of the times of watching and rewatching this film, who was your favorite character?
My favorite character is Ray, the firefly, or you can call him Ramon. I like him because for two reasons. First of all is because he's very selfless. When he first met Tiana and tried everything to help the two, he called his family to guide them through all the way to Mama Odie's. And every time when he is challenged with some hurtful words, he tried to justify them by explaining something with a nicer excuses to himself.
Yes.
So for instance, there's this, it's almost at the end of the film where Tiana saw what she just didn't want to see, and she kind of just took all of the negative energy on Ray because Ray was always there. He was the kind of friend that everybody wants and everybody needs. Instead of saying want, I want to say need. He is always there to cheer you up. And so Ray was trying to cheer Tiana up. However, Tiana was brokenhearted, so she said something really hurtful back to Ray. Basically, when she was given hope and the hope diminished when she saw something she didn't want to see. So she said to Ray that she doesn't believe in dream anymore, something like that. And then she said something really bad and mean and hurtful, which is Evangeline is nothing but a star. Because at that time, Ray was deeply wounded by her, for sure. And he made an excuse for Tiana. He said, she just said because of a broken heart. And
so instead of like fighting back to defend himself, he sort of embraces the sorrow of like everybody else.
And he takes in the energy and then and he's so selfless. There's no one eye for an eye in him. It's always like taking in and then giving them positive energy, giving them better, like making them feel better, giving them hope. It's right. It's just him, and it's just like what he does. He's just a little firefly, right? And when people see a dims of light, people have hope, right? And so that's the first reason. And he is very selfless in a sense that he would sacrifice himself for his friend. At that time, there were shadows following Tiana. They were trying to get what they want, and Tiana has what they wanted. So they were kind of like hunting down Tiana, and Ray was this teeny tiny little bug, and he said, I would help you whatever it takes. And then he tries to diminishes the shadows, what you said. Diminishes the shadows with his teeny tiny light. He sacrificed himself because he was this small, right? He was basically armless. He could not do anything.
So even though he is able to fight the shadows with his light, he cannot fight the human Dr. Felsifer. So actually he died under the feet of Dr. Felsifer. But still we can see how he is willing to sacrifice himself for his friends. He thought of a metaphor of why he is so important.
Even though we are deeply wounded, we are in despair, with the little dim of light, we have hope. And we think that Ray is the little hope in everybody's heart. In Naveen's heart, in Gator's heart, in Tiana's heart. He is always there to cheer somebody up. And maybe that is kind of like the metaphor Disney is trying to deliver. This is a message from them. Even though you are in despair, even though you are in the adult world where everything seems not so successful, with a little hope, you have the possibility to turn things around. Try to make things better.
So from how I understand it, because he is like a firefly, so he makes light. So Ray is that light in everyone's, probably not in everyone's heart originally, but if he comes into your life, then he will somehow light up your heart. No matter how dark it used to be, no matter how many shadows there used to be in your heart.
He is the smallest, but he has the biggest heart. I mean, he is the most courageous and he is the bravest character inside the film. And he is not afraid to believe in something.
And we also talked about how Ray seemed to bring everyone together because he sort of like swiped away or cleared away all of the people's darkness and shadows in their hearts. For instance, Tiana's or Naveen's, like his bad habits of being like sloppy and lazy, and he sort of like changed everybody, probably not like directly, but he definitely was that spark of life and light that changed all of their lives.
He's trying to bring out the better person of each character.
I think it's the message, like how light always defeated the dark.
I'm going to talk about the second reason why I like him. So the second reason is because I think he has the purest heart of all of the characters. He believes in what he believes in. So there's this character called Evangeline, which never talks and never really moves, but shines. So Evangeline is a star, or the Northern Star. Maybe there's actually something between them, between Ray and Evangeline. That's what I believe and that's what I interpret. Because I think the purest heart reflects on all of the kindness he did and all of the selfless behavior and all of those caring characteristics coming from Ray. And also I think this is the message from Disney as well. Because I think Disney is, I mean, it's the only place you can still be children again for all of the adults. Disney's movies always bring every adult back to their childhood. And I also think this film was not only made for children, but also for all age, all people. I think Disney is trying to tell everybody you have the right to dream. And as long as you believe in, your dreams will come true. And so with his purest heart, he believes Evangeline is the love of his life. And I think it's just because he believes in this so much. So after he dies, he was there up in the sky with Evangeline, and when they both shine, it's just as if they were holding hands, and that just inspires me very much. I just think, if even though we are going to have obstacles, difficulties in our lives, as long as I believe in my dream, it will come true. I mean, it's still a long way, right? So yeah, I think that's the reason why I like Ray that much.
Okay, but anyways, Charlotte, as mentioned previously, she is sort of like Tiana's best friend because Tiana's mother used to make dresses for her, and they had this fairy tale time before Tiana goes home, and we can see that they're still strongly bonded after 14 years, like until when the story is like officially started. What I'm going to talk about is the reasons that I like her, because from the very beginning she was portrayed as this really naive, innocent girl who believes in fairy tales. So at the very beginning, when Tiana's mother was reading them the Frog Prince, the fairy tale, Tiana says, "Ew, I'm never gonna kiss a frog." Charlotte's reaction was, "Yes, I'm gonna kiss a frog. I want a prince. Read it again, read it again." She was like the cutest girl you will ever see. However, like on the other hand, she's also very spoiled by her father because her father basically gives her everything. Like beautiful dresses, kittens, puppies, and like everything she wants. However, I think that I like her so much is because even though she is so spoiled by her father and possibly by the society, she still has a really big heart, and I don't see any cruelty in her. So for instance, at the more beginning of the film, when she is holding this masquerade in hopes of meeting the prince and marrying him, she actually ordered a lot of desserts from Tiana because Tiana is really good at making those desserts. However, some accidents happened to Tiana, so she ruined all of those desserts, and Tiana herself was in a really awful state with her dresses messy. So when Charlotte came over to fetch her desserts from Tiana, she didn't blame Tiana for like messing things up. However,
after all, she is actually her employer at the time.
Yes. But Charlotte actually cared for Tiana. The first thing she saw her, she asked, oh my God, what happened to you? Let's come up. I have a dress prepared for you. Let's just get you cleaned up and make you pretty. So she didn't blame her whatsoever, and she tried to take care of her like both physically and mentally. So she's really, really sweet in that way. So the second part, which I think she's really sweet, is in the sense that it's more at the end of the film when we see that scene. So we all know that Charlotte's dream is to marry a prince. However, Prince Naveen fell in love with Tiana, and in order to turn back into human beings, Prince Naveen has to get a kiss from a princess, which is Charlotte at that time. So when Tiana and Prince Naveen sort of revealed their feelings for each other in front of Charlotte, Charlotte didn't blame them.
She feels for Tiana.
Yeah, she's totally happy for Tiana. She didn't say, "Oh my God, you just grabbed my man," or whatsoever. You just stole my dream. No, she didn't do that. She said, "I'm so glad for you. You just found your man, and even though I don't get to marry the prince, but I will kiss a frog for you. I am willing to kiss a frog so that you can be turned into human beings again."
I think you can just see it in this way. Basically, Naveen is her dream, and she is giving her dream away.
Yes, so I think she's really, really sweet, because if it were for me, I'd be really cynical and really jealous and really cruel. And I think that is Charlotte's virtue, in the sense that even though she comes from a rich family, she is blessed in every sense by society, by social status, but she's still very, very caring. She still has a big heart. She still maintains not only her naive or her innocence, but also her kindness.
She basically grew up with the fairy tale, so like she is like a fairy tale, like somebody from a fairy tale. Like fairy tales don't teach you to be selfish. Fairy tales don't teach you
something that I would like to talk about is also like the difference between Ray and Charlotte. Even though both of them are like really nice people, and both of them have really big hearts, and they all sort of believe in this impossible fairy tale of either being with a star or marrying a prince. Even though both of them like strongly believed in this, and eventually Ray did get to be with the star, it didn't work out so great yet for Charlotte. Another point why I like Charlotte so much is because
she's so cute.
Their wedding, or in Tiana's restaurant, I don't really remember. She was dancing with a boy, and then she was saying, "Oh, probably the prince has a younger brother or something. How old are you?" And that little young boy, he was even standing on her feet to dance, and he said, "Oh, I'm 6.5." And Charlotte was, she was stunned for a second, but only for a second, and then she said, "Oh, well, I've waited this long." So you can see that she's also very optimistic and very like high-spirited, and she still believes. That is who I need in my life, and Yeah, I think it's really sweet of her. So anyways, that's it for the first video. It's way over time, but anyways, there are also 3 questions for you. First of them, if you have seen the film before, who is your favorite character and why? If you haven't, by your descriptions, who do you think you might like?
Yeah.
The second question, who's Julie's favorite character and why? Last question, who's my favorite character and why? Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you for being here. Bye bye.